the vast majority, like our straws, are made from either avocado pulp or sugar pulp or some kind of pulp. So they biodegrade. Most of our, all of our to-go containers, our to-go silverware, that kind of stuff. That's all. It's all bioplastic, you know. So we try to stick with the bioplastics. Like I said, it's not 100%, but it's probably 95% of our usage is bioplastic. So yeah, and I do that because, you know, I spend a lot of time in and around the ocean, and it's pretty important to me that I've seen turtles with plastic bags, you know, like attached to them. I've seen 6-pack containers, you know, around animals in the ocean. So it's, you know, it's plastic is bad, you know, it really is bad. And
welcome back to another My Living Media podcast, guys. I'm Lucy, and today we're with Troy, owner of Tako Tiki. Welcome, Troy.
Thank you.
We're excited to have you here. If you could just start off with introducing yourself and telling us a little bit about who you are and what you do.
My name's Troy Pulley, and I own Tako Tiki, among other businesses here in Martin County. Taco's in Jensen Beach, and if anybody hasn't been there, you really should give it a shot.
Cool. Are you originally from this area, or where are you from?
Nope. Originally, I'm from California. I grew up in the desert on the Mexican border.
Oh, wow.
So eating tacos was part of my growing up. And yeah, that was pretty much our normal meal. Probably twice a week we had tacos. So yeah.
I love that. So what inspired you to start Tako Tiki, and how did you develop this concept for your restaurant?
It was, you know, it was Kona Cafe before, and I was in the area. I had a business across the street, and I asked somebody what happened to Kona Cafe, and they said, Frank Waka, the old owner, sold it or closed it, sold the property. So I walked over and I walked through it, and I was like, man, this would be a great restaurant for like a taco place or whatever. It just kind of like just made sense that it was what it is now. I guess it's like I saw what it became. I saw that the first day I walked in. They were actually in the process of measuring it to demolish the buildings. When I walked over there, the guys were measuring. I'm like, what are you guys doing? They're like, oh, these buildings are coming down tomorrow. I'm like, no way. So Mike Lowry, who is a local real estate guy, he works with Stracuzzi now, but his office was in the old Lures building.
Okay.
Right?
Yeah.
And he was there for like 30 years. I think he was in that building. And anyway, I got in touch with Mike Lowry, and he was the one in the middle of the whole deal. And so he was kind enough to get in touch with the owner of the property, who at that point asked me for a business plan. And I'm like, well, this is all within like a 2-hour span. And anyway, so I worked all night, and I think it was the next day or maybe the day after, I sent a business plan to the owner, and he's like, okay. I'm like, no way. So yeah, he gave me a 15-year lease, and you know, we started working on it right away. And it took us about a year to get it, you know, kind of rebuilt and cleaned up, and added some decking, and had to, you know, fix the place up. And that continues because the buildings are older buildings. You know, they're 100 years plus old.
Yeah. Wow.
I'll probably let you ask some more questions, but the property itself has a pretty interesting history.
Really?
So, yeah.
What is the history on? What is that?
So it was a pineapple plantation. The Tilton family, the Riku family.
Gosh.
They have owned the land there for a long time, and the guy that owned Kona Cafe was part of that bloodline, right? Part of that family. And yeah, so that was they were growing pineapples in the area, and from what I've been told anyway, the cottages where Tako Tiki exists were some of the family and some of the employees from the pineapple plantation lived there. And then, but I know we have customers at Tako Tiki that come there that used to rent the cottages out.
No way.
Before
That's so neat.
before somebody turned them into. It was originally another restaurant. I can't remember the name of it. For a few years, it was like a hot dog place, and then Frank, who owned the property, turned it into a restaurant. And I think he lived in Hawaii for a while, and so he called it Kona Cafe, and it was kind of Hawaiian themed. And then he sold it, and now it's me. So
That's crazy. And that's what I love about where we live, because I feel like even in Stewart and Jensen, we have all these historic, buildings and properties, and it just makes things 10 times more special, I feel like.
yeah.
And I love the concept. I'm a Tako Tiki fan. I will say I love the concept of, your restaurant, and it brings something to the area that we don't have. It's one of a kind.
Oh, thank you.
You're welcome. So how did you you own your other establishments, but how did you get into this industry,
So when I was in college, I chefed. When I lived primarily in Miami when I was in college, until Hurricane Andrew, that is. We were just talking about that. And I chefed down the Miracle Mile. I chefed for some relatively well-known chefs, bigger ones, Wolfgang and Norman Van Aken and
Awesome.
Jackie Pluton. He was one of the guys I worked under, he's now got a fantastic restaurant in Paris. So I learned food cooking while I was in college. And so I was in that industry for a minute when I was young. Yeah.
Awesome.
And then I kind of came back into it as an adult or as an older adult.
So how do you stay inspired and motivated in the restaurant industry?
It's they say it's a tough business. I was in a construction related business before, and I find that was even tougher, because you've got to, it's all about personnel and motivating personnel and having personnel that operate at a high level. And if you don't have that, you're just going to struggle. And so you need good leadership. But the way I stay inspired really is trying to excise or exclude negative energy from my day to day, whether that's an employee or whatever it is. If there's negative energy, it's gotta go.
Yeah.
It's just because I'm like the antithesis of negativity. It's if you have a conversation with me, you get very little cynicism out of me ever. And even when there should be, there's not. So anyway.
Yeah, that's good. Because I feel like I'm kind of the same way. I don't like negative energy. I don't like bad vibes. I always try to keep it somewhat positive because I just can't. I don't like negative energy. It's not a good feeling to be around or witness, and I just don't like it. So I agree with that.
Absolutely. And it doesn't matter what you're doing, you know. But
just positive vibes always. So Tako Tiki is noted for being the only ocean-friendly restaurant on the Treasure Coast. That's correct, right? I think I grabbed that from your website.
That was when I opened it. Yeah.
Okay.
That's true.
Okay. So can you elaborate on some of the sustainable practices you've implemented?
The disposables that we use there, 90% of them are biodegradable.
Oh, great.
There are some products that I just cannot get, or they are just price prohibitive to the point where I can't afford to buy them. But the vast majority, like our straws, are made from either avocado pulp or sugar pulp or some kind of pulp. So they biodegrade. Most of all of our to-go containers, our to-go silverware, that kind of stuff, that's all, it's all bioplastic, so we try to stick with the bioplastics. Like I said, it's not 100%, but it's probably 95% of our usage is bioplastic. So yeah, and I do that because, I spend a lot of time in and around the ocean, and it's pretty important to me that I've seen turtles with plastic bags, like attached to them.
So
I've seen 6-pack containers, around animals in the ocean. So it's Plastic is bad, you know, it really
Yeah.
is bad. And funny enough, in France, they just banned plastic.
Oh, wow. That's crazy, but
There's
it's good, I guess. Yeah.
I mean, I haven't unpacked that. I don't know exactly what that means to them, but I read a short article about them not using plastic. So
Wow. Well, it's great restaurants like yours, are implementing these eco-friendly practices because it is heartbreaking, to see a turtle with a plastic bag around its neck. Or I was actually just out of town. We were on a cruise. We were in the Dominican Republic, and I was looking out on my balcony, and there was just like a line of trash, like plastics, just going out into the waters. I was like, and it's tough to see. It's sad. So, it's really great that restaurants like yours are making a difference.
and how big of a difference do you make? I don't know, but I sleep at night, because a lot of our trash in the United States is exported. A lot of, and then you've got all the Caribbean companies around or countries around us, and you go to different places in the world, and they're very irresponsible about disposing of their garbage and what they're using. So it's, are we really making an impact? Probably not, but I'm doing what I can as an individual. As an individual business owner, I'm doing what I can. So
Yeah, and that's great. So we'll kind of go now into like your menu and the ingredients you use. So what influences your menu choices, and how do you decide on new dishes or cocktails?
well, sampling, tasting is important, and we are starting to do more specials. I usually change the menu twice a year. We do some additions and some subtractions, but we're starting to do some specials and things like that. But it's really just hey, let's try this, and right now we have a Brussels sprout taco that we're selling.
Oh,
I just
yeah.
put this really, really good orange cake on the menu. It's unbelievable. It's so good. It's actually made a bakery in Jacksonville makes it,
Oh, nice.
and I had it in a local restaurant. I'm not going to say which one, but it's I was like, I need to find this orange cake. It is so good. So I found it.
Oh my gosh, wait, I wonder if I know what orange cake you're talking about. 'Cause I had an orange cake somewhere, and it's like it's a hit there. And I wonder
Yeah,
if it's
on the
same
water
one.
probably.
Yeah.
Yeah. Same. It's the same one.
That's funny.
But it's it's very, very good. It's addicting.
And so we actually met, a few months prior. We did a dining review at your restaurant, and I interviewed you for the article. And I remember you talking about how you guys source your ingredients. You use a lot of local vendors. I remember something sticking out about like the juices you guys were using in your cocktails. Do you want to touch a little bit on your use of your ingredients and,
Sure.
how you guys do that?
Sure. Yeah. So when I opened Tako Tiki, I had a juicing machine, and I was buying cases upon cases of oranges and lemons and limes. And I had a guy, he's passed away since, but I had a guy, his only job was to come in and juice every morning. And the expenditure was, it was incredible.
Yeah.
That went on for, I guess, about a year, and I really saw what it was costing me to make my own juice. And I'm like, there's got to be a better way. So there's a really big company in Fort Pierce called Natalie's. It's actually Orchid. I think it's Orchid Island is the actual parent company, but I'm not 100% on that. But anyway, they've got a really large juicing machine. It's a factory. So I made a deal, and so now we're buying our fresh juices for our cocktails, and our marinades are from Natalie's.
Wow.
So
That's
yeah, and
awesome.
it's not cheap, but it's a lot cheaper than making your own juice.
Yeah. And Natalie's, they do I think I recognize Natalie's. They have the orange juice, and they have really good juices. That's
Yeah,
yummy.
lime juice, orange juice, and now we're buying a margarita mix from them as well. That's made from. They're actually making margarita mix in house, and again, it's not cheap, but it's very, very good. And
Yeah.
so we're using fresh juices. We do make some fresh juices in house. We use fresh watermelon juice for our watermelon jalapeno margarita.
Yum.
So we've got some other fresh things that we can't get from Natalie's that we do have to kind of we're kind of on our own.
Okay.
But yeah, it's a challenge, but you can really tell the difference when you're drinking a margarita that has fresh juice in it
Yes.
versus, a powdered sour mix,
Yeah. What do you hope customers take away from their experience at Tako Tiki?
Well, besides a good meal, I try to exude. I want the place to exude, happiness, good energy, and fun. And my regular customers for 5 years now. We've been open for over 5 years now, and our customers really do call us the happiest place in Jensen. And I would even go further. I would say we're probably the happiest place in Martin County, and it's not just our customers, it's I'll hire somebody and they'll come in, and if they're not smiling a lot, there's a problem because it's a happy place. It's a happy environment. And, it's unfortunate that some people are just kind of jaded, and so not everybody fits in that happy, kind of positive vibe. There's people that can't quite make it there. So anyway, before anything, I would say we want people to be happy there and have a good time, and especially with and I know that's coming up, but the music that I have there is really important to me for a lot of reasons we'll get into. But yeah, it's happy, good, really good craft tacos, and then I've also got the authentic street tacos that are it's the best taco place within. I mean, I go to all of the good ones down in Jupiter and around. Nobody's making tacos as good as we are. I mean, our tacos, I have fresh flour tortillas made daily, fresh corn tortillas made daily. We're marinating our products in the best mojos. I mean, our food is really good, and it wasn't always that way. It wasn't always that way. When I opened, we had some struggles in the kitchen. We had some struggles in execution. We got busy right away, and I'll say we kind of fell on our face. I kind of fell on my face, out of the gate because we were very, very busy, and we just weren't prepared. And so it took some time to kind of, being resilient is an important part of being in business. It doesn't matter what you're in, but you don't just quit. You keep showing up, and you keep trying, to improve and get better. And that's kind of what happened with Tako Tiki. I've seen a huge transformation over the last 5 years, mostly in the last 2.
Okay.
The first 2 or 3 years it was hit or miss. You'd go there, maybe you'd have a good experience, maybe you wouldn't. Maybe the food would be good, maybe it would be cold, or maybe, and there was a lot of that. And the fact that we survived that, I think is a big attribute to my staff and myself.
Definitely.
Showing up and continuing to try to get better, and then actually doing it, and it wasn't, it was not easy. It was not easy.
Yeah.
But now I'm scouting for additional locations for Tako.
Gosh, exciting.
I'm looking at, I don't even want to talk about areas yet, but yeah, I looked at a property about a month ago, and if I can find the right property, I'll develop it. We'll do it again because I think we've kind of got it honed in. We've honed in on what it takes to really maintain the place. So I would love to redo it, and somewhere else, or do it again somewhere else. So.
Yeah, I love that because I personally, I told you earlier, I love Tako Tiki. My family and I go. And like you were saying, your staff is really happy. I've never had an experience where I felt like I was around, an unhappy employee. It's like, because some restaurants I go to nowadays, I'm like, they don't even seem like they want to talk to me. And it's just a weird weird energy. But no, your staff is very friendly. The tacos are great. The atmosphere is amazing. There's nothing like it here in the area.
Thank you. I appreciate that.
Yeah.
It's always nice to hear that, you know, because as an owner, you hear, okay, hey, so and so, this happened or that happened. You don't get to hear firsthand a lot of the good stuff, but so it's always nice to hear it. Thank you.
You're welcome. So now we'll get into your live music because I know that is a big part of Tako Tiki. So how do you select the artists and what role does music play in the overall vibe of your restaurant?
Yeah. So when we first opened, it was it's a pretty big place. I mean, there's over 200 seats there. So it's a big restaurant, and as I went through the first year, I kind of really got this notion that the place needed to be a live music venue, and it wasn't necessarily that from day one. So I built a little stage, and then that kind of evolved, and the stage became a little bit bigger, and then I went from like having one guy with a guitar to like a duo, and then next thing you know, I've got full bands playing. I'm like, okay, well, we're going this way now, and then it became, now of course, the place is known for having not only the most frequent live music of any restaurant, but I really strongly believe the best in Martin County, at least to say in Martin County. And, music's important to me, so I don't just put anybody on that stage. I'm pretty picky about, the talent level, and also the, set lists are important to me. What are they playing? What's their vibe? We've had some very, very popular bands play there and become popular by playing there, actually. But if the vibe's not the right vibe, then it's probably not gonna last. Because my customers there they like to dance, they like to have fun, they like to really enjoy the bands. And I grew up in the 80s, so I was a teenager in the 80s, so I love the bands that bring 80s to the stage, to the venue. And we've got some great, outstanding 80s shows there, and it's kind of my age group, and my clientele happens to kind of be my age group more or less, which is kind of funny because when I first opened, I'm like, I think it's gonna be a place where like the younger people are gonna hang out and whatever. And I was doing a lot of reggae and reggae-esque type stuff. And as time went on, I kind of realized, Jensen's maybe doesn't have that demographic as the demographic was a little different than what I had expected, which was actually to my liking because I happen to be in my 50s, and so my clientele is, when you come in there, you're not seeing a lot of, people in your age group. We do see, but definitely more of the 30s to 60s age group in there, and my music kind of reflects that too. So you're gonna have some really high quality music, and then full band music, and then Wednesdays actually we've been doing a jazz show.
Oh, nice.
We've been doing that for a couple of months now. Billy Co-Francis, he has a quartet
Cool.
that comes, and they are playing jazz at a pretty high level. It's good stuff, and so that's actually kind of taken off. Tonight happens to be Wednesday, so tonight's jazz night, and it's a more mellow, thing than we normally have over at Tako, but it kind of fits on a Wednesday. So
nice. Yeah, I think there was one time I went to Tako Tiki and there was some band you had there, and it was. So there was people everywhere dancing. There was like this one girl I remember like really interacting with the band, and it was just so fun to watch.
Yep.
So is that a fun process to like sit through and kind of, you select the bands so you get to watch them like almost audition? Or how does it work?
Yeah, well, some of the bands reach out to me, and then the person that we both know that helps me with my music, at least organizing it. And she also has brought some really interesting bands that I wouldn't have otherwise known to my attention. And she's got a very good eye and ear for music as well.
Awesome.
And again, having connections down in Dade and Broward County. There's so many venues down there. It's super competitive for some of these guys. So it's like, I have those connections. So we use those to bring some of these highly talented, really amazing bands up here. And you'll see them. So you just, it's just incredible. Some of these bands that come up and play there. Sometimes I'm like, wow, I can't believe they're playing here, you know? And it's, cool. I get that feeling a lot. So, I think I'm doing something right.
Yeah. It's nice you also offer live music, almost every night, because I love to go to Nashville because of the live music that they have constantly. And I always would come back to Stewart and I'm like, it's such a shame. Restaurants will have live music here and there, but then sometimes it's not even anything interesting. So it's great that you guys offer that for the community.
And it's so funny because Jensen B, if you live in Stewart, I lived in Palm City for a few years, and I remember there were probably years where I never even went to Jensen. Jensen Beach was a place that you pass on the way to the beach. That's literally what Jensen Beach was to me when I lived in Palm City. Mm-hmm. And so now, having been a resident of Jensen Beach for the last 15 years, I've obviously gotten to know it very well. But it's interesting how people even in Stewart, they're like, oh, Jensen, man, that's a hike. I hear people all the time, I was talking to somebody the other day. I was like, where was it? It was in, I was in Jupiter, but there was a Stewart resident.
Yeah.
And we were talking about Tako Tiki. They're like, where is that? And I'm like, well, it's in downtown Jensen, just north of downtown Jensen. Okay, yeah, downtown. It's like they're acting like they don't even know where that is. I'm like, where do you live again?
I know.
They live in downtown Stewart. So anyway, it's funny, but we're getting more and more people coming up from Stewart, to come and hang out at Tako, because it really is a special place.
Yeah,
so,
downtown doesn't have anything like that either. Yours is definitely, it stands out. So
yeah, I mean, Terra Firmata, of course, it's a great place, and they bring in, of course, higher level acts in general. They're bringing in the Wailers and bigger bands that are writing and playing their own music, right? Not cover bands, but again, they're charging a cover. They've got a much bigger capacity, and it's obviously a different business model. We're a restaurant first and a music place second. That's and I love going to Terra Firmata from time to time, but I live all the way in Jensen.
That is funny you say that, because I sometimes my friends and I will talk about going out, and we're all mainly in Stewart. And I'm like, we could go to downtown Jensen, but that's a further drive or further Uber. But no, we got to start making our way over there, and it's a great little spot in town.
Yeah, for sure.
So can you share a proud moment or success story from your time running Tako Tiki?
Opening day was a proud moment because it took me so long to get that place open. Oh my God, it was tough, but that was obviously a very proud moment. I would say, that's probably number one. I'm every day I go to work. I want to be proud of what I'm doing and what I'm representing. And I think so. Every day I go, I'm proud of my staff. I'm proud of my manager, my chef. I'm proud of the people that make it happen and help us make it happen. Those are I'm mostly proud of them, and so I'm proud every day. I guess that's a weak answer, but it's true.
No, that's a great message. I love that. And we kind of already touched. I have a few future plans questions, and you mentioned you were looking into expanding to some possible other locations. Are there any other exciting plans for the future, upcoming events you want to share?
I mean, my number one goal in life is to be a good dad, and my son and I we do a lot of stuff together, and we do a lot of surf trips,
Fun.
just Central America, and he's got an aspiration to go to college in Hawaii, which I support. His mom not so much, but yeah, next 2 weeks we're going to Costa Rica. We go to El Salvador and Costa Rica surfing a lot. So when you say, what are my goals? My goals are to, be happy, make him have a fulfilled life. That's probably my number one goal in life. And my number two goal is to, have a fulfilled life and try to do what I can to make the people around me feel the same way. And that goes for my family, my friends, and my staff. So that's my goal. And whatever I'm doing, I hope that I'm doing that.
That's a great goal. And I have 3 more questions. These are just kind of more personal insights just to wrap things up. But the first one is, what is your favorite item on the Tako Tiki menu and why?
Well, definitely the octopus taco is so the word taco, Tako, means octopus in Japanese.
Oh my gosh, we were trying to figure that out the other day, actually. We were like, I wonder how the name, came to be with T.
So that was the octopus taco kind of made sense.
Yeah.
And it is actually, there's a little octopus in our logo too, if you look at it. So you probably didn't notice it, but and then we have an octopus on it behind our outside bar, going up I don't know if you ever noticed it.
I think I did. Yeah, I've seen
it's
that.
a mural. It's an octopus mural.
Wow.
And then on the new mural of the fence that we just built, there's an octopus on that too. So
oh my gosh,
I guess I'm going to say that because it really is a good item. And we marinate it, we brine it, and it a lot goes into preparing octopus before it goes on a taco. People don't realize it is not nothing easy. There's nothing easy about prepping octopus. And anyway, so yeah, that's probably number one. Number two is obviously the carne asada. That's my grandmother's old recipe. It's a family recipe. The mojo that we make with the fresh juices and cilantro and oregano and that I'm very proud of that mojo that we used to marinate that, and that's it's a toss up between those two items, yeah.
Awesome.
And you're not going to have and we use skirt steak in our carne asada, and that's not something that you find very frequent. They're usually using some scrap meat, some kind of sliced sirloin or something that is not what I would consider a quality meat. I'm spending $12 to $14 a pound on prime skirt steak for my carne asada, and there is a huge difference. So you usually when you get your carne asada, it should be a little bit pink. The meats, we sear it. We try not to overcook it, and if we do, send it back. But it normally comes out incredibly tender and flavorful. So yeah.
Yeah, I was telling you, I like the conch taco, but I'm going to definitely have to try the octopus taco because that sounds delicious. Same with the carne asada.
And the conch, and going, I want to step back a minute about, the music and the colors. We were talking about Tako Tiki, but the conch. So the conch, I did spend some time in the Bahamas. And during that time, I developed a love. Actually, my father lived in the Bahamas when I was a teenager, so I was going there from a young age. So conch is one of my favorite foods on the planet. So I had to find a place for it on that menu, and that was it. That's it. So thank you for that compliment.
Oh yeah, of course. And that's something we were saying too, because I love conch as well, but I'd never had it in a taco. So if you guys haven't tried it, you have to try it because it's amazing.
Yeah.
So what is one thing you want people to take from this podcast episode?
Just come and try Tako Tiki out, and if you were there a few years ago and it didn't work out for you, I apologize. I've had my own personal trial and tribulations in the last 5 years. I went through a pretty gnarly divorce, and I was in a pretty deep depression when Tako Tiki opened. And my management was a reflection of that depression. So that's kind of, I've been able to, to put it all back together, my life and my restaurant. So please come back. And if you went and it wasn't so great, I'm 99% sure that if you give it another shot, you're really going to be pleasantly surprised. And I do hear that a lot. I hear from the customers, and I've got a lot of them that have been coming there the whole time. I get people grabbing me and saying, Troy, you have just turned this place into some place that is, I didn't recognize it, and so it's really nice to hear that people do see that change and see that difference, and everything deserves an opportunity to change, people, business, whatever. So definitely give us another chance if you haven't. So.
That's a great message. So, Troy, how can people find you guys? Where are you located for those who don't know? What's your website, social media profiles, any of those things?
Yeah, so we're on Facebook, Instagram, all that. It's Tako Tiki, Taco with a K. Our email is takotikijensenbeach@gmail. And our website is takotiki.net.
Awesome.
So because the .com was taken. So anyway, yeah, we're just north of downtown Jensen Beach, 3340 Northeast Pineapple Avenue. So drive up to Jensen from Stewart or Palm City. It's not that far. It's literally, we're in downtown Stewart right now. I think it's about a 9-minute drive.
Yeah, I'm one of those guilty people for saying it's far.
Yeah. But I think sometimes the people are a little, they don't want to go have cocktails and then drive back to Stewart. I think that's what does it.
Yeah, that's my thing. I'm like, well, I do live by downtown, so I could just, we're right there. We could Uber. It's so close.
Yeah.
Not that a 9-minute Uber is going to make a big difference, but.
So something that I also did want to touch on, we're doing tequila flights now. I am, you know what? I'm proud of this. You asked me about being proud, right? Mm-hmm. I have around 80 tequilas on my tequila list.
Wow.
And we're now doing tequila flights. So I've got a lot invested money and time into developing that tequila list. So
Awesome.
For tequila aficionados, I don't think you're going to be disappointed if you come to Tako and want to try some very, very nice tequilas.
Oh my gosh, awesome.
So yeah, I forgot to mention that. So.
No, that's definitely tacos, tequila flights, margaritas, live music. Amazing. All right. Well, that is a wrap, Troy. Thank you so much for joining us today.
Thank you very much.